Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Super Kaioken podcast, the official Dragon Ball podcast of the Jonsk12 YouTube channel. I am your host, as always, Jonsk12 himself. One day I need to get someone on this show. I don't know why, but I feel so alone on this podcast. I just feel like it's about time that I have someone co-host with me. I like if you're a listener and you're a moderate anime fan, or if you're a gigantic Dragon Ball fan, please let me know if you want to become like a co-host, because I don't know, I'm getting sick of talking about Dragon Ball by myself. It's starting to get really lonely and annoying. But that being said, we're here to talk about all things Dragon Ball Z, and of course other things that come along the way when it comes to anime. And of course, if you're listening to this specific episode and you hear something in the background, it's actually my television, because I'm watching a movie as we speak while recording this particular podcast episode. And you want to know what movie that is? It's the movie Scanners. Yes, if you've never seen Scanners, I highly want to make sure that anyone who's listening and has not seen it, that you should really consider seeing it immediately. It's an amazing movie. It's freaking awesome. It's just a great, awesome ride all around. But that being said, it's just something I'm watching in the background. Hopefully I don't get too, off the topic and getting into just the movie itself, because I know a whole bunch of people hate it when I rant. But I can't help it. When I do videos and I talk for a long period of time, I tend to rant. I lose my track of thought. I can't even speak anymore because my mouth, from moving too much, gets a little too dry, and I have to I have to reboot, if you will. I'm like a shitty computer. I'm like one of those really shitty computers you have that you want to keep, but only because you don't have enough money to get a new one or whatever, and you keep rebooting it, hoping it's better the second time, even though it's never going to get better because it's a hunk of shit. That's basically what I am as a person, just, transitioning into human. I'm a real boy. But that being said, we're here to talk about Dragon Ball. But before we get into Dragon Ball-esque topics, I wanted to talk about some live action adaptations, of anime properties. Yes, there's 3 specific movies I wanted to talk about right before we get started with Dragon Ball topics. Number 1, I haven't talked about it in a while. I was going to originally make a video on this when it first came out. I don't know if I talked about it in the last episode, but if I did or didn't, I'm going to say it again anyways. Ghost in the Shell is obviously one of the bigger anticipated live-action adapted anime movies to come out, and as we already know, Scarlett Johansson has been signed on to star as the lead of that specific movie. Now, I've already made 2 specific videos talking about it. I'm personally pumped about it. I like Scarlett Johansson. I think she's great. Is she the greatest, leading actress that we have today? I wouldn't go that far, but she is good. She has a nice on-screen presence. She's obviously very pleasurable to look at, and, most of the movies she's been doing now have been killing in the box office. I mean, whether it be Lucy or Avengers or just name a movie and she's killing it, so I'm already happy about that. But apparently the movie has been pushed, I think, to a closer date. It's either going to be a week earlier or a week after this. You know what? I'm going to look it up real quick, because the stupidity in me not remembering exactly what's going on is killing myself inside. So let's just look it up real quick. It's either a week before or after. Let's see here. Ghost in the Shell. Oh, God. It's still funny how many people are still pissed off about this shit. It's like, Scarlett Johansson is... Fuck you! I don't know. I think we should just let it go. It is what it is. It's going to be a big Hollywood budget movie, so why does it matter? Let's see. I keep getting the anime. I don't... Okay, I have the article here. Let's look it up, because as we already know, there's the Ghost in the Shell Arise kind of shit, so there's like a filter of things you gotta go by. When you want to talk about the live action adaptations, you have to filter all the anime-esque stuff, so keep that in mind. But that being said, the live action adaptation is supposed to be hitting theaters in June 20th. So, let's see, June 20th. Which is to mark the 25th anniversary of the original manga series, which is interesting. It doesn't particularly say, okay, Let's see. It was also announced that the Walt Disney Studios has decided to release the Hollywood live action adaptation of Ghost in the Shell on April 14th, 2017. Okay, let's see. Is this supposed to be particularly when they say feature film? Okay, let me see. Okay, well the actual release date is going to be April 14th, 2017. So, I don't know, it's there's so much Ghost in the Shell stuff out right now. It's just really weird. I don't know. It's the anniversary. I understand that, but God, I don't know. Like, the only thing that bothers me is all this other recreations and all this various other shit that they want to do with the property. Is it necessary? I mean, like, you wouldn't see that type of shit going down for Akira, so I don't know. Which is another thing. I wonder if they ever have plans on ever bringing Akira to the live action movie circuit, because that movie has been, I don't know for anybody who does or realize this, but the Hollywood studios have been trying to freaking make a live action adaptation of Akira for a very long time, and it's been in development hell forever, amongst multiple other movies. Just pick one. Ghost in the Shell, Cowboy Bebop. It's just one of those many movies that just gets stuck in, freaking development hell forever. So I don't know. I'm just wondering, like, if are they ever gonna do it? I remember seeing, like, a couple years back a fan film of it. I didn't see the full length fan film. I don't know if they ever released it, but there was a trailer for it, and it looked pretty interesting. I liked it. It kind of had like a Tron Legacy kind of feel to it, except better, if that makes any sense. Seeing as how Tron Legacy is what it is. But that being said, I don't know. We have to wait and see what happens with Ghost in the Shell. The only thing that really, really bothers me about the live action adaptation is the director. I still don't like the director's choice. The choice of director, rather. I just think it would have been better just to get a different guy helm the project, or at least maybe an unknown or something. I don't know. It's just, the director is the dude from, Snow White and the Huntsman, and I don't fucking like that movie, nor do I like him as a person. So I don't know. It's just, we have to wait and see what happens. But that being said, let's move on to some other anime property movies. Kite. Now, Kite came out last year and was kind of just based on this anime series of the same title. And I actually had zero knowledge of this movie. I didn't know it ever came out and realized that it was being created. I don't even know if I actually watched the anime itself. I can't really remember, because I've seen dozens of animes and sometimes they all mesh into one, and then I think about Dragon Ball Z for a moment and then I lose all track of thought. So that's what that comes in, but I've seen a couple of stills from the original anime, and it looks familiar, so maybe I have seen it in the past, but I can't really consider myself a hardcore fan. If you're a fan of Kite, let me know in the comments below. But that being said, they made a live-action adaptation of this film that was directed by Ralph Zimman, I guess, and stars India S. Lee, or Colin, whatever, McCaughey, and of course stars the man himself, Samuel Jackson. So there's this. And I remember seeing it in Best Buy, I want to say, I guess last year, or maybe a good couple months ago, or a half a year ago. I remember seeing it at Best Buy and just thinking, well, that's an interesting cover. I put it aside. And then I saw the anime. They re-released the anime and Blu-ray or just DVD. It was one of the two. And I saw it also at Best Buy. It was across, the hall, so I went check it out, because the anime section, if you've been to a Best Buy, if you live near a Best Buy and you've been there, you know that the anime selection in a Best Buy is very limited, and it's very all over the place. It's either all the way near the cartoon section, or it's scattered all over the new releases. At least now it's a little better, or what have you, but I don't know, it is what it is. That being said, I saw the original anime re-release on DVD or Blu-ray, probably, it was possibly DVD. Saw the cover, and it was kind of a similar cover to the live-action adaptation. The only difference is, it had the tagline of the critically acclaimed anime series that the live-action adaptation is adapted by, or whatever. The movie's adapted by. And I was like, oh, the shit, so that movie over there was adapted by this movie over here, this anime over here? Oh, that's interesting. I was surprised that they still try to make live action adaptations of anime, seeing as how they failed terribly back in the mid 2000s with, movies like Astro Boy and Dragon Ball Evolution, which kills me inside. That being said, I actually went, a couple weeks ago, I decided, you know what, I'm going to sit down, relax, and just watch Kite for the first time. Not the anime, but the movie, just to see if it's any good. I saw some reviews on it, and I saw some critiques of it. They didn't like it. So, but maybe that was just them because, a lot of people don't really care about anime in this country in and of itself, so it's not like it's that big of a deal anyways. I mean, like, you can give them gold and they would still say, oh, this is shit. It's kind of like the Oscars and how they treat comic book movies. At the Oscars, comic book movies are still like whatever kid flicks. They're like whatever. Like, they don't really get that many awards, and they always get fucked over. Classic point, Guardians of the Galaxy. Hardly got anything that it deserved at the Oscars. So on and so forth. Lego movie. Just name a fucking good, awesome ride of a movie, particularly a comic book movie, and they always get fucked over. But that being said, the critics didn't like it, so I sat down, checked it out, watched it. I have to say I got in, like, not even halfway in, not even. I want to say like a good 20% in the movie, and I already knew this was the biggest hunk of shit I ever seen in my life. It's so bad, and it's so weird because you would think like with, unknowns like this, it could work a little better because, when you have these specific characters and you have unknowns playing them, like, you have a little bit more leeway with, trying to get this character, because if you had like, like Goku, whatever. You have a Goku and you get, like, freaking Jean-Claude Van Damme to play Goku or something. Like, maybe in the 80s that might have worked, but now I think that would be shit. But let's just say, for the sake of the argument, that happened. You're not going to see Goku. You're just going to see, oh, it's Jean-Claude Van Damme. He's playing Goku. Cool. You get it killed with the stardom. But with the unknowns, you kind of have that kind of legway. But then you have the Samuel L. Jackson thing. And the only real thing that I can really respect Sam Jackson with is two things. Number one, the roles he takes with Quentin Tarantino movies, because they seem to be the best in his career. Number two, his love for Japanese properties and anime. He's a big anime guy, and he's also big into, like, kung fu and, like, Japanese lore and what have you. And I like the stuff that he's done with the anime industry. I mean, Afro Samurai, freaking awesome. I love that. I have it on DVD as we speak, Season 1, and I have Season 2 on Blu-ray, which was Resurrection, for those of you who don't know. And I like it. It was badass. It was awesome. And, allegedly, right now, they're currently making a live-action adaptation of that anime series with Sam Jackson. Not playing Afro Samurai, but he's producing the movie, I guess. And I had some hopes in this because, you have the Sam Jackson thing going on. You have an interesting property that could have been a really nice cult-following movie. Kind of like Dredd. Like, if it had any kind of aspects of Dredd, maybe it could have been epic, but I don't know, like, just 10 minutes in this movie, like, the first 5 are interesting, like that opening where the girl's, like, I guess, gonna have sex with this dude and then out of nowhere just shoots him in the head or what have you. That was kind of cool or whatever. And the kill scenes are kind of interesting, but when you get on and on with the story, it's just so bullshit and stupid, and it feels nothing like an anime movie. It feels like if Joe Schumacher made an anime movie. That's how it kind of feels. It just feels cheesy and campy and stupid, and it feels like unnecessarily gory and gritty just for the sake of how cheesy they're trying to be, that they're trying to give these undertones, or these overtones, if you will, of grittiness, just to be like, oh no, we're not stupid, we got a darkness to us, no, you're bullshit, fuck you. That's what Kite is to me. So, I don't know, for me personally, if you've seen the anime and you loved it, I don't suggest seeing this live-action adaptation, but if you're interested, definitely check it out. I personally couldn't watch the full movie. I got, like, hardly halfway in and I got sick of it, so I don't know, I personally didn't like it. So, yeah, there's that. But that being said, getting into a movie that I really enjoyed that I saw very recently, it's another movie that came out last year, and that is Edge of Tomorrow, or later known as, through its tagline, Live, Die, Repeat, which is the currently new Tom Cruise sci-fi action movie, and it was so freaking badass. It was such a great, amazing flick, and that's saying a lot, because Tom Cruise, he's been kind of on this downward spiral into madness for the last couple, like decade, like half a decade rather, with his bullshit, public persona and like his personal life and, the accusations and his, his beliefs and the kind of movies he's been trying to do lately. I don't know. It's been crazy for Tom Cruise. But that aside, his sci-fi movies, I haven't really been that good. Like the last one he did, before this one, I think was Oblivion, which was that really stupid ass movie that had Morgan Freeman in it and, whoever the other chick was or what have you, but Tom Cruise did that, and I didn't like it. I thought it was really lame. It felt like Portal, except, like, just a shittier version of Portal, I guess. It was just not that great of a movie. But this one, on the other hand, is a sci-fi movie that kicks freaking ass. It's so freaking badass. Tom Cruise kills it. Emily Blunt kills it. How even the director kills it, and the director is obviously Doug Liman, who did movies such as Mr. and Mrs. Smith and Jumper, which are obviously not that great movies, but he really killed it with this Edge of Tomorrow shit. I mean, it's a great fucking movie. But if you're wondering, like, yeah, John 12, yeah, that was a good movie, but what does that have to do with anything anime related? Well, for those of you who don't know, this movie was actually based and adapted by a Japanese light novel titled All You Need Is Kill. And I have not read the novel. I don't know if I have any intentions of getting it, but it's after this movie, it's just like, that's what you do when adapting animes and mangas. Like, and like when it comes to live action adaptations, this is the way you did it. Like, obviously, when you compare it to the novel, and based on my limited knowledge of the novel, they're completely 180, except for the one key element of dying and having to go through the entire day again, repeating the kill. I understand that shit. But other than that, everything's kind of different. It's not obviously set in Asia. It's not set in Japan. It's obviously set in Europe, and it has like this different kind of feel to it and environment. But that's the way you got to do it. You have to, like, if you're gonna adapt a manga, or if you're gonna adapt something that's specifically a novel that a lot of people really liked or enjoyed or loved, then you have to do it that kind of way. This is the way you do it. So, I don't know. I personally feel I still have a hope for live-action adaptations on animes or mangas or Japanese novels or what have you. I still have a glimmer of hope for these kind of properties, but I don't know. We still have to wait and see. If Ghost in the Shell, the live-action version, kills critically and financially, then I think this will be the turning point. But Edge of Tomorrow so far has proven me, like, kind of... well, not proven me anything, but it's really shown me that you can really do a lot with rebooting a franchise or rebooting a specific property and doing your own thing with it, but it's while still keeping the originality and influence of the the source material or what have you. It's just really awesome. So if you've seen have read the light novel All You Need Is Kill and loved it, I definitely suggest seeing Edge of Tomorrow. I mean, it's freaking awesome. Or if you've not seen All You Need Is Kill, definitely watch it just in general. It's a freaking awesome flick. Emily Blunt, she needs to be Captain Marvel in the fucking in the Marvel universe. I'm just saying. I'm pretty sure they've already casted, and they're just not telling us or something. But there were rumors that she was eyed to be Captain Marvel, but at first I was like, no, she needs to be in DC. But after seeing this movie, fuck. She would be badass as Captain Marvel, especially the version that we know today. Fuck, that would be freaking good. Especially how kick-ass she does and how fucking badass she's, how built she is nowadays and how much she trains. God, she would be amazing as Captain Marvel. But that being said, let me know what you personally thought about these 3 movies that I had to talk about. What did you think about Edge of Tomorrow? What did you think about Kite? What are your personal speculations and thoughts on Ghost in the Shell with Scarlett Johansson? I actually got a comment a while back on like, oh, Scarlett Johansson's not in this movie. Yeah, she is. As of right now, she's still a part of this film. Just because people bitch doesn't mean she's like suddenly out of the movie. She's still a part of the project until the day happens where she, I guess, makes a public statement stating, "I'm not going to be part of this project." Then that's the way it is. So I don't know why people are still bitching. For me personally, we just need a different director. That's what I really want to see. different director, different writers, then do Ghost in the Shell. If you're gonna go ahead with the writers and directors you have now, then I don't know. I think it's gonna be personally shit, but that's just me. Nonetheless, let's move off of that and get into some more Dragon Ball Z S stuff. Now, Dragon Ball Z Resurrection F, as it's titled here in America and the rest of the English-speaking states and countries, it is known as Resurrection F. We just got recently, Funimation released the first ever teaser trailer for their American version of Fugatsu no F, Resurrection F. And we got the first dates that we're going to be getting this. We haven't yet, as I am doing this specific podcast, we have yet to get the official details as to what this, is all going to be about. We already know that it is obviously going to come out this year in the summer in North America and Canada. And for those of you who don't know, I actually made a video on this, so if you're a viewer of my channel, then you know the news already. But we just got our confirmation that it will be released in North America. It will have a limited release of August 4th towards August 12th of this year. So that's pretty awesome. We still don't know how limited this release is technically when it comes to theaters. Like, for me personally, I really appreciate the fact that Funimation put some more money into the release of this film, because back in Battle of Gods, it was only released for like 4 days, I think. Like, it was April's whatever, it was a very, very limited release. It was just a handful of days, and that really sucked. For me personally, I think this is the first time I might be publicly stating this, but I actually never saw Battle of Gods in American theaters. I never went and saw it. I originally was going to, but I waited way too long for the tickets, and they got sold out, so I was incapable of seeing it. And plus, on every single day, very unfortunate for me, but every single day that Battle of Gods was released, I couldn't see it. Like, I was just too busy on each day, and like the only day that I did have a specific, free time to see it in theaters, I would have to go like all the way out, like hours and hours away from my house to see it in a very long distance theater. And on top of that, of course, the tickets were sold out. I couldn't see it. It was a done deal. So I have actually never seen Battle of Gods in a theater. I know a lot of other people here in the States saw it in theaters and they loved it. They had a great time seeing it with an audience. I wish I could have had that feeling too, but I never did. And the great thing about the Fugatsu no F Resurrection F release is that it's going to have more days. We're going to see it April 4th all the way to the 12th. That's almost 2 weeks. So I'm pretty sure there's plenty of opportunities for me to see it in a theater. And this time, hopefully they'll have more theaters in their, many lineup of theaters to post this. Because for me personally, if I have mixed feelings of like traveling long distances to see stuff, but for Dragon Ball Z I'll do it. So I definitely, when the tickets start coming up, I'm definitely going to do some more, high risk kind of stuff to try and get those tickets, because that's the biggest thing that sucked about Battle of Gods for me. Like, I never got to see it in theaters, and it was a real downer for me. So hopefully with Resurrection F things go a little better for me, but for me, I don't know why I keep saying that over and over again. I don't know. This is what happens when I talk for a long time. I get repetitive with the way I speak. But that being said, Resurrection F will be coming out this year in the summer. It's really odd that they chose August. I actually stated this in my video talking about it, but does anybody find it weird that it's in August? Like, I've heard a few people talk about it, and they share the same kind of belief with me, where it's like, why is it in August? Why isn't it not in July? Like, July is the perfect spot for freaking Resurrection F to come out. It's a perfect, month in the summer. Tons of people are going to be definitely going to check it out in theaters. I mean, especially if they're not, those kind of vacationers who go on vacation in the summer outside of their respected countries. Then I'm sure then you're going to have a perfect opportunity to see it in the theater, but I'm just saying, like, August is a really weird month, because that's like, right after that, we're into the fall, and it's kind of like a done deal with the summer blockbusters, but it is what it is. I'm still happy that it's definitely a little bit more of a legitimate release. Hopefully, whenever they plan on doing a new movie, which I don't know if it's going to happen or not. They haven't really released any toy animation, or Toriyama himself have not released any kind of information whether or not they're going to do a sequel to Resurrection F. I mean, I guess Dragon Ball Super is the sequel, but we still have no idea what Super's all about, which I'll get to in a minute. But yeah, Resurrection F. Oh god, I really want to see this movie in a theater. I just don't want to relive that Battle of Gods moment where it's like I had this opportunity, I waited too long, it got sold out, and there was so many days that it was out where I could not see it in the theater. It just haunted my dreams for the past year or so. So it is what it is. I mean, I got it on Blu-ray, so I guess that's good. Even though it was a humongous debacle to get it on Blu-ray. If you've seen my video talking about the Battle of Gods Blu-ray, which I did a while back, then you already know that it was a debacle to get that Blu-ray. It was insane, man. It was, it still haunts me. The Battle of Gods thing. As much as I love that movie, the whole movie just haunts my dreams because it was a debacle, like, talking about it. I made so many videos talking about it. So many people gave me shit unnecessarily. People tried to delete it. It was during that hacker stage in my YouTube life. Oh god, I mean, I just that's why I like Resurrection F more, man. It's just ever since Resurrection F's kind of done its thing, it's been better. I've been in a better state in my YouTube career, if you will. It's just like when I was doing the Battle of Gods thing, it was just very unfortunate. But it is what it is. I mean, that was actually the first couple of DBZ videos I did officially, so it is what it is. I don't really regret it. I just wish people would just understand where I'm coming from and what I'm trying to speak, But that being said, let's move off of that and get into some speculation, some Dragon Ball Super speculation. Yes, Dragon Ball Super is the sequel series to Dragon Ball Z. We got our first little piece of information from this show. I mean, not really much has really come out from the series itself. We know that the composer of Battle of Gods and Resurrection F has announced already that he's going to be scoring this series, so I guess that's pretty cool. I mean, Battle of Gods had a pretty decent score, and I haven't really listened to the score of, Resurrection F, so I can't really tell, but based off that, I think it's awesome. The only thing, speaking about the score of the series, the only thing that really interests me is that with this new series, if Funimation gets to dub it, which I'm pretty sure it will, because of how the anime industry is doing, they can't really cut corners with what they're willing and not willing to really afford to do. So I'm pretty sure Funimation right off the bat will get the licensing to dub Super. So, but if they do, are they going to make their own score? That's like the biggest question. Because I want Funimation to go back into making their own scores. I freaking hate this shit of them just rehashing the Japanese dub. It's one thing to bring in some music from the the Japanese version, but I'm just sick of this whole Kai way of doing things with DBZ over at Funimation. It's unnecessary. Keep Kai as it is. Why do you have to Kai everything else? That was something that really pissed me off, and they're doing that again with Resurrection F. If you check out the cast for Resurrection F, it's the same freaking people that they changed for Kai and Battle of Gods. You still have the same Bulma, which sucks. I mean, no offense to the Kai Bulma. I mean, she's good as Kai, but she's not my definitive Kai. Kai. She's not my definitive Bulma. My definitive Bulma is always going to be Tiffany Vollmer. She's the best Bulma. She's the definitive voice of Bulma. And the same thing goes for Frieza. I love the original Funimation dub of Frieza. I don't like the Chris Ayres. I mean, I like Chris Ayres. I think he did a great job with Kai. I mean, he sounds creepy and epic and crazy, and he sounds like basically Funimation version done again, except creepier, because unlike the original Funimation, who was a woman who did it, the Kai version is a dude, so obviously that's where the creepiness comes in. But that being said, Chris Ayres is not my definitive Frieza. The original Funimation dub is, so it is what it is. I wish they would just go back to that, but I don't know, like, Funimation just loves this new way of doing things. Maybe they don't have the budget to do stuff like they used to or whatever, or, they can't really get composers or musicians or rock bands to, like, license music or whatever like they used to with the with the earlier films, which I actually stated in several of my reviews. Okay. If you're wondering what that sound is, I got some news. Apparently, there's on my news feed. Obama has signed a bill, and that's interesting. I really don't care. This isn't the John Control effect, so that has nothing to do with anime. So that will be left for John Control effect, which will happen 2 weeks from now. Now we're talking about anime and Dragon Ball Z. But back to what I was talking about. Essentially, it's just I just want them to do their own score. I mean, it's good that they have the same composer coming back. He does a decent job, so I guess that's good for them. But I don't want Funimation to use his music. If they're gonna use his music, whatever. But I want them to get their own composer. Get your own composer, Funimation. Don't fucking do Kai over and over again. It's freaking getting annoying at this point. But that being said, we also have our first look at the manga adaptation of, obviously, freaking Dragon Ball Super, because as we already know, Dragon Ball Super's kind of doing its own thing. Like, it's going to be released as an anime and then released as a manga, kind of how they did with Resurrection F, where the manga and movie were coming out roughly around the same time. So you had that going down. So they're going to do the same thing with this, and it's also the same artist who did the manga adaptation of Resurrection F doing Super. And obviously we got our first look at what Goku will end up looking, and essentially he looks the same way he does in Resurrection F. He's, wearing the same kind of gi, and he has the same kind of look to him, so roughly I'm going to say that this more than likely will take place post Resurrection F, or maybe during the events. So I guess that's pretty interesting. For me personally, this is where the speculation comes in. The number one thing that I cannot wait to see, that I hope this series goes by, is that I hope it introduces multiverse. I want there to be multiple universes that get opened up, like, to the point where Goku and the rest of the Z Warriors specifically have to go and save the rest of these universes, or maybe they just get opened up. There's this boom tube that just opens up a black hole in the center of the Earth, and of course kind of similar to what they did with GT with like Hell, except better and not Hell, where we have to rehash villains once again multiple times, but like you just open a hole right in the center of the universe, and it just opens up this multiverse of multiple universes. And I think they actually did that in the fan manga, which, ironically enough, I think it was actually titled Dragon Ball Multiverse. I think it was, but unlike what I'm talking about, I want them to do like a DC kind of thing where it's just like multiple universes get opened up and there's this humongous battle of, peace that Goku must go through. Instead of that, it was more or less, the fan manga was this tournament or whatever. I've never really officially read them, so let me know in the comment section below what the fan made series Dragon Ball Z Multiverse is all about. But based off my limited knowledge, I guess it's basically freaking the black hole opens, multiverse is possible. There's this tournament that's going down, and there's multiple versions of the Z Warriors and other characters from the Dragon Ball universe that must battle together, I guess, in this gigantic tournament that's going down. I don't know. That's basically my limited knowledge of that fan-made series. But what I want them to do is something kind of similar to that, except a little bit more cinematic, more story-driven kind of character development going down. And of course, I want there to be this gigantic convergence, kind of DC convergence kind of thing, where what could happen here could destroy the galaxy, the universe as we know it. This series as we know it today could just be destroyed basically on what happens. And maybe it has a lot to do with the new villain we're going to get. I mean, based off our limited knowledge, obviously, The series is going to be run by Toriyama. It's going to be produced by Toei Animation, and it's going to be coming out and airing this July. And allegedly, it's been alleged rumored confirmings of 100 episode run. I don't know if that's official. I find that very unlikely that that's going to happen, but hopefully it does, because if it's, an awesome freaking series, then definitely I'm going to want more episodes. So we'll see what happens on the front on Dragon Ball Super. But that being said, it's supposed to take place 18 years. Well, not 18 years. It's supposed to take. It's an 18-year period after the Dragon Ball anime previously. But it's supposed to take place after the defeat of Majin Buu, and at a point in time where the Earth is once again at peace. And of course, there's this villain that's supposed to be more powerful than Majin Buu and Frieza combined. So once again, it could definitely be taking place right after Resurrection F. We already know that Goku and Vegeta are training with Whis. They're trying to get stronger. They already became Super Saiyan God Super Saiyans. And based off my limited knowledge of Resurrection F, I think Beerus is still stronger. Doesn't that kill anybody inside, that Beerus is somehow still stronger than Goku? I don't know why, but that kills me inside still. It's like, okay, he was stronger in Battle of Gods. Okay, good. That was alright. I can deal with that. But after this short period of time, period of time where Goku has been able to train with Whis and has evolved as a warrior, he's still not stronger. I don't know why. That just really makes me sad inside. But that being said, I wonder if the purpose of Resurrection F was supposed to have this segue into this series. I wonder if that was their overall plan. I think I'm giving a little too much credit to Toei Animation, because Toei Animation is what it is. They love milking the cow that is known as Dragon Ball. They love it to death. I mean, it's good that we get more content. I'm not going to lie. I'm a huge fan, so that obviously means I love getting more shit. I mean, it's kind of like being a comic book fan. That's like being a fan of Marvel, being a fan of DC. They always, recreate the universes and, bring us more stories and whatever, and we love it, But when it comes to the anime and when it comes to that kind of thing, we like series that have a definitive end. But of course, we have the ongoing series. We have the Naruto's and One Pieces and what have you. So it is what it is. But Dragon Ball obviously is the definitive anime that's getting milked every single day when it comes to Toei Animation, and I don't really like to give that much credit, because mostly it's Toriyama. Without Toriyama, Toei Animation would just be doing GT all over again. That's essentially what it is. It's just them not knowing what they're doing, just trying to milk the cow, make as much money as possible with the property, and essentially just give a shit. That's all they really care about, and that's all they really accomplish. So all the credit really goes to Toriyama and his people that worked with him, and obviously a lot of fans who really encourage this kind of thing and really want the series to grow. But that being said, the thing is that, did they have this in mind? Before Resurrection happened, was Toriyama and Toei Animation sitting down in an office being okay, well, this is the future of Dragon Ball as we see it now. This is the anime industry as we see it now. It's not really doing that good, so how do we just try to fulfill fan service and continue to evolve this industry as we speak it? Okay, well, how about we bring a return to Dragon Ball? We already knew that, obviously Toriyama wasn't going to return to the manga circuit. He's an artist, obviously, but he likes doing one-shots. He's not really big on taking on a series. That's why he's mostly just developing the story. He's not, doing everything. He's just doing the story and designs, as he usually does with this kind of stuff. It's an official property of him. It's his creation. Everything is inspired by his creation, so he's not going to do what he used to do. But that being said, was this the plan? Was it always the plan to essentially do Resurrection F, make this the sequel, the follow-up to Battle of Gods, obviously, but have this be a segue and make this story arc official and canon so we can spin it off into a different story and do everything that we want to do that we kind of set up with the movies, like with the different universes and the lore of the gods and, this Frieza kind of arc. What if we spin that off into its own series? Or maybe it's just a series essentially for, mid-season finales. You know what I mean? Like, this series is supposed to please the fans in between movies. What if they make a third one and it's supposed to, like, Dragon Ball Super, like, kind of like what Marvel does, like, where Age of the Shield Season 2 is a setup for Age of Ultron. You know what I mean? So what if Dragon Ball Super is supposed to be like a setup for the next movie, Dragon Ball Z, 3 or whatever the fuck they call it, if they ever do one. You know what I mean? Like, what if that's what they're trying to do? Or was it always their intentions to do a series? I have no clue. Personally, I have high hopes for the series. I really hope it does good. I really want it to be better than Z, which I find very unlikely that they could do. But based off what I've been seeing from, Resurrection F, and hopefully this takes place after it, I can't wait to see what happens. And also the big speculation goes down as to whether or not this series is going to be taking place after what happened in Z. That's another real big question that I'd like to know. But that being said, all I really want to see story plot-wise, number one, multiverse. I want there to be some kind of multiverse kind of thing going down where Goku and the rest of the Z Warriors have to go through these universes and hopefully defeat this ultimate villain that's stronger than Majin Buu and Frieza combined, and may have to take down other villains from these other various universes. Like, I want to see like a DC Convergence kind of thing go down. Kind of similar to what we got in the Cell arc where we were experiencing time travel. Same kind of elements, except on a much more wider scale, where it involves this universes instead of timelines. You know what I mean? That's essentially what I really want. But let me know what you think. Okay, well, anyways, moving off of that, before I get into the comments section of the podcast, I wanted to point out another top 5. Now, I did state that I did obviously if you are, a subscriber of my channel, then you do realize that I did a top 5 of DBZ on my normal top 5 segment, which of course if you've not seen it, it's my 600th video, and it's titled Top 5 Dragon Ball's Female Villains. Now, there is a reason behind the whole story of doing that specific top 5, mostly due to the fact that my most popular and most viewed DBZ top 5 is the female one, so I decided just to do another one, and I don't know, I personally liked how it came out, so if you want to see that specific video, go to my channel and check it out. Nonetheless, that being said, I am still going to do top 5s on this podcast moderately, and if I do, it's usually going to be a top 5 surrounding DBZ or DB or anything Dragon Ball related that I would not rather do a legitimate solo video for it on my actual top 5 segment. Hence, this specific top 5, which is all about the video games. Yes, Dragon Ball Z has a long history of making video games. Obviously Toy Animation or whoever the heck runs the video game marketing of the franchise loves milking the cow just as much as any other aspect with Dragon Ball, and there's tons of video games. Ever since the 80s all the way to now, there have been always tons of Dragon Ball video games, none of which are really that great, to be honest. I mean, in general, I find it very likely that anybody really plays anime video games, and if it is, it's usually like a Naruto game or what have you, but besides that, there's not really that many great anime video games. That being said, there are a couple of video games from the Dragon Ball Z franchise that I actually really loved playing and personally really think are the best. In my personal opinion, of course, with most top 5s, it's subjective. So, and of course, when it comes to me on the topic of Dragon Ball, it's very subjective. So that being said, I also want to make it perfectly clear that I'm not really the biggest DBZ gamer. I mean, like, I have not played every single DBZ game, so maybe like a game that a lot of other people out there in the fan community consider to be the best may not end up on this list. So of course, if you are like a humongous fan of like the Raging Blast video games or the Budokai games, and you like those specific games in the franchise, and if it did not end up in this list and you think it's better than the ones I picked out, then of course let me know, but also keep in mind that I have not played every single video game, nor do I really intend to, mostly due to the fact that, when it comes to video games, I'm mostly just a Halo guy or a Gears of War guy. That's kind of like the extent of me when it comes to video games. And also, a Batman Arkham video game kind of guy. But that being said, let's move off of that and get into my top 5 DBZ video games. Starting up at number 5 has to go to Legacy of Goku for the Game Boy. For me personally, I grew up with the Game Boy. It was my first ever console, handheld console game system. Today, a lot of people have like the touchscreen PSPs or whatever the fuck they call it now, and the Nintendo DSIs or DSLs or I don't know, 3DSs, whatever the fuck. With those were awesome. They're a fucking badass video games. I have not played them all, but I have seen them in action, and it's pretty cool. But the Game Boy was my generation's handheld gaming console. Of course, before that, we had like the Sega, handheld game console and stuff, and like the original Game Boy, which was a hunk of poop, basically. That was basically it was kind of like the 80s equivalent of the telephone, where it's just a gigantic thing. But that being said, the Game Boy was just way ahead of its time, and it was so badass. Nintendo really hit it out of the park. I still wish I had mine. One day I will get it back, either by buying my own or stealing it from a friend. Hence, that's where Paul comes in, because Paul does have a Game Boy, and I plan on stealing it from him one day. He doesn't know it, but it's going to happen. But that being said, number 5 is Legacy of Goku for the Game Boy. I always liked it. I personally grew up on the Pokemon games for the Game Boys, like, Pokemon Red or Emerald and Silver and Yellow and Gold, all that kind of shit. And I like the fact that they made the Dragon Ball Z equivalent of those Pokemon games. Now, granted, Legacy of Goku is not the greatest DBZ game, but I really liked it. It's more like a nostalgic kind of thing for me. And, of course, looking at it back in the day, and comparing it to now, looking at it in retrospect, it obviously does not hold up as well as it used to. But at the end of the day, I still have Legacy of Goku like near and dear to my heart. I still wish I had it, but it was still a fun, entertaining game for its time. Moving off of that, going to number 4 is another handheld game, which is Shin Budokai. Now, Shin Budokai is, of course, for the PSP. It was one of those PSP handheld console video games for Dragon Ball Z. And, of course, it's part of the Budokai series. But that being said, I liked Shin Budokai. I bought it. It's actually, Shin Budokai, if I'm not mistaken, was legitimately the last Dragon Ball Z video game that I ever bought. It was the last one I ever bought. I still have not played anything that came after it. I have not played Battle of Z or Xenoverse or anything like that. This was the last game I bought, and I actually had a humongous blast, no pun intended, playing it, and it's just really awesome, especially during like the first wave of the PSPs before it got like the craze became super crazy. It was just awesome to play that game. Moving out off of that, going to number 3, once again, another handheld game is, of course, Legacy of Goku 2. Now, basically, Legacy of Goku is the continuation of the first game, but it was just a gigantic, awesome upgrade, where it was basically like, kind of like playing Xenoverse now, except for the Game Boy. It was essentially, it took all the crappy qualities and just upgraded it to the sequel. It was just awesome. It was better. It's just far superior than the first one. Legacy of Goku is just awesome video game to play. Moving off of that, going to number 2 on my list has to go to Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3. Budokai 3, to this day, is hands down the number 1 video game I played more than any other video game. It's so well done, so badass, so epic. It's basically, you get to play you get to be the characters of Dragon Ball Z. That's how epic this video game is. I don't really see any other Budokai game that's really topped Budokai 3. And for me personally, I would play Budokai 3 amongst any other DBZ game. You can name one, Raging Blast 2, fucking Xenoverse, just, pick a game out of the hat. I would play Budokai 3 over it any day. But moving off of that, going to number 1 on my list has to go to the original Dragon Ball Z Budokai game. Yes, Budokai number 1 is hands down my favorite video game of the DBZ franchise, and I personally think it's the best. It's basically what I always wanted when I was a kid. It's basically the Dragon Ball Z series formatted to a video game. That's essentially what Budokai is. You're basically playing the series from, the beginning of Z all the way to the end of, I want to say, the Frieza saga or what have you, and that's pretty much it. This is the series done in a video game, and it was so amazing. I still remember to this day buying that game for the PlayStation 2, if I'm not mistaken, and just bringing it back home, playing it and just watching those graphics. Of course, looking back at it now, it's shitty, but the nostalgia in me still loves it. And just looking at it and just seeing the anime into a video game was just so beautiful to see. It was an amazing moment in my video game Dragon Ball Z fanboy career. And to this day, even though it's more or less nostalgic, and I probably would never play it again unless just out of curiosity. But beyond that, Budokai is number one in my book. It's hands down, it's the godfather of all DBZ video games in my opinion. But that being said, let me know in the comments what you personally think about my top 5 DBZ video games. Once again, it's subjective, it's my personal thoughts. A lot of people won't agree with my list, and I'm not the biggest DBZ video gamer. I personally feel like video games that are based off animes are kind of pointless, and the only good ones are like a couple of Naruto ones, and that's pretty much the extent. And I still have yet to play Battle of Z or Xenoverse, so I don't know if I'm ever going to end up playing those games because I don't own a PS4 or a Xbox One, unfortunately, so it's kind of hard. I mean, I could play it for the Xbox 360, but, you know, what's the point of buying a new gen game if you're going to play it on, you know, the old gen? You know, it's just fucking pointless. But one day I will get a PS4. I do plan on getting it, mostly due to the fact of the Batman Arkham Knight. That's kind of like my main goal as to why I want a PS4 so badly. So we'll see what happens by the end of the year. But that being said, well, seeing as how I've been talking far too long, let's get into the comment section of this podcast, which has to be my favorite part of the podcast. Me talking about, basically answering and replying to your guys' comments. Every single anime, Dragon Ball Z, or podcast video I do, I get at least a good handful of comments, and here I am talking about them. Well, let's get into the first comment of the day, which is towards my Who Would Win Thor versus Gohan video. Sub-Zero versus Iceman. Sounds interesting. When is it going to be released? This is kind of like a frequently asked question I get a lot, which is, when am I going to do my Wave 2 to my Who Would Win series? I know a lot of people gave me tons of requests, which I actually like. Majority of the requests I got are really awesome, and I intend on doing majority of them. Maybe not all of them, because, you know, obviously the Goku versus Superman thing I'm waiting off into, like, my grand finale. But I do intend on doing a Wave 2. It is coming. I originally was going to do it like a month or two ago, but I decided just to wait off a little bit more to do a little bit more thinking, because I want this to be more of a fleshed out kind of segment on my YouTube channel. I don't want it to be half-assed, kind of like Wave 1. I want Wave 2 to be a little bit more fleshed out. But if you want to become more involved with it, I definitely have a vlog coming out, which is my update YouTube channel vlog, which I'll definitely be talking about this on there. So definitely check out that vlog, where you guys can possibly become more a part of the show than just giving me requests. But that being said, moving off of that, I have a comment for my Resurrection F movie release update video. It was nice seeing that teaser trailer, and I am so excited that it's finally revealed. The full release date for that upcoming, I hope they don't make it so limited of which theaters will show it. Check out this picture of me showing off my hair growth to try to make my hair similar to Goku's. Well, and obviously you have a link to your Facebook. I actually checked out the link, and I don't know if it's because of your link or whether or not you did anything to the actual picture or what have you, but I actually checked out the link, but it didn't really take me anywhere, so maybe you have to give me a new link, if you will. But to reply to your comment, essentially, it's an awesome teaser trailer, and I definitely... That's a big question, you know. Is it going to be limited as to how many theaters will show the movie? That's the big question we need to realize. Funimation hasn't, as of now, have spoken about it, but I don't know. Hopefully, soon they, give us some information. I mean, the movie's not coming out until August, and that's a little ways off, but we're already in June, so we're kind of like in the heart of the summer, so we'll see what happens. That being said, on my Bardock is the original Super Saiyan video. The first Super Saiyan God is Broly, LOL. In Dragon Ball Raging Blast 2, Broly's second form has blue hair. That proves that he is the first Super Saiyan God. Well, that's a video game, which is not canon. Obviously, you're joking, so I can't really take your comment too seriously, sir, but Yeah, Broly being the original Super Saiyan God is really not canon. Even less canon than freaking Bardock. So, that being said, and also you have to keep into account that Broly wears like this mind control device on his head that kind of changes the kind of color of ki that he produces when he transforms. Kind of similar in when you watch in the first movie where versus the second movie. Like his Super Saiyan stage has like this purple bluish kind of tint to it, but in the sequel he has normal hair, normal Super Saiyan hair. The reason behind that is because of the mind control device that his father put on him. Kind of changes his kind of ki, so and transformation, so it changes the way he looks. So that's why I don't know if they did it for the video game. I've never played Raging Blast 2, so that being said, it is what it is. But that being said, let's move off of that into my Hulk versus Broly video. Broly would rape him. Well, I wouldn't go as far as to say Broly would rape Hulk. I don't know if that would ever happen. I don't think Broly is sexually frustrated as most characters in the anime industry, so I don't know if Broly would want to rape anybody, but he is a sadistic serial killer fuckhead, so I don't know. That being said, on my Chi-Chi versus Chun-Li video, can there be a mixed tag team of Goku and Chi-Chi versus Ryu and Chun-Li? Just a request. Well, I actually replied to this comment, and it's a great request. I actually never thought about doing tag teams on my Who Would Win series, so I haven't really done the logistics of planning any videos, but your Goku and Chi-Chi versus Ryu Chun-Li fight definitely seems interesting. I'm definitely going to be very biased on that freaking fight because it seems very obvious as to who would win, especially with the wild card that is Goku, but I will be possibly making that kind of video, and soon probably. Well, not soon, but relatively soon, and tag team matches, I'll definitely do them. So yeah, thanks for the request, and I'll definitely be doing them. Aside from that, going into my Bulma is important video, I agree with you that Bulma is important, despite some fans thinking that she's not. They should know if it wasn't for Bulma, Goku wouldn't be as powerful as he is now. And if it wasn't for Bulma, the Earth's Dragon Balls wouldn't be found so quickly since the Dragon Radar wouldn't have been introduced. Plus, if it wasn't for Bulma, Vegeta would not have Trunks, and Vegeta wouldn't have been as caring deep down. Bulma is even far more important than Yajirobe, Yamcha, and Master Roshi combined. Very interesting comment. Yeah, Bulma, I love her. She's an awesome character. I will always care for that character, and it's definitely one of my faves on DBZ in the entire universe. So yeah, I really find it unfortunate when people disrespect her character and try to bash her and bash a lot of other female characters on DB. So it's kind of like my job to try and, prevent that kind of stuff. I like to consider myself the Joss Whedon of Dragon Ball. I don't know if I could take that title, but for the sake of this podcast, I'm going to take that title. I'm the Joss Whedon of Dragon Ball. If anybody wants to take my throne, you're going to have to take it up with me. That being said, I also there's a reply to that comment stating, not to mention that Trunks wouldn't be there to go back and warn everyone about the androids, or to help keep Bulma from getting killed and never being able to build the time machine. Well, that's very true. Trunks is a very influential character when it comes to the Cell arc of Dragon Ball Z, so yeah, if it wasn't for Bulma, there would be no Trunks, and there would be no, Cell Saga. So, that being said, moving on to my Dragon Ball Super video, that's good to know it's going to take place after Resurrection F story arc. I am anxious of still waiting for Funimation to announce the full date of the English dub theater release of Resurrection F. Well, obviously this is an earlier video, but yeah, Resurrection F has already gotten its theater release date, so it's essentially, if you didn't hear me earlier, it's August 4th to August 12th of this year, so definitely kudos to that. Moving off of that, on the same Bulma video, nope, she was useless in DBZ. But it wouldn't be DBZ without all the past memorable characters, simple as that. Well, I don't fully agree with your comment. You have your own, as always, you have your own personal comments and you have your own personal thoughts on characters. I can't change anyone's preference and I can't change anyone's opinion, but I don't agree with you. I think she's definitely very influential when it comes to DBZ, especially compared to other characters, like the rest of the Z gang, and, like, I'm just saying, hell, Bulma does more than Yamcha, and does more than majority of characters that you would think would be more influential, so I definitely disagree with your comment, but I can't really change your mind. If my video did not change your mind, then it is what it is. I can't do anything else for you. I can't help you. Anyways, moving off of that, let's see another anime-esque comment. On my last Super Kaioken episode comment, I am absolutely looking forward to Dragon Ball Super. I like DBZ far more than DC and Marvel combined. It's awesome to know that DBZ is more recognized now. I heard that Dragon Ball Super will be getting the manga. I would recommend you to do your Monday top 5s besides in your podcast, but it's up to you to make that decision. My favorite Super Saiyan form is Super Saiyan 2, but my favorite Super Saiyan transformation moment is when Goku was powering up to go Super Saiyan 3 for the first time. Well, Dragon Ball Super, I'm really excited for it as well, and I love DBZ to death as well. I already stated it. I mean, I love it more than DC and Marvel too. I mean, Batman, as everyone knows, is my favorite superhero of all time. He's definitively my favorite. I want to be the Batman, essentially. That's why I love the Arkham video games, because you get to be the Batman. But that being said, I love Dragon Ball Z way more than Batman, so that should tell you on my scale of things that I like. But that being said, Dragon Ball Super will be getting a manga. It's being done by the same guy who did the Resurrection F manga, so I guess if you like that, then you're definitely going to like this. And the Super Saiyan form, your favorite is Super Saiyan 2. That's pretty cool. The only real reason I like Super Saiyan 2 is the fact that you get this like really cool electricity thing going down. So other than that, Super Saiyan 2 is not really that much different from the, prior transformation. But that being said, the electricity, added to it is really fucking badass. And for the moments, Goku powering up the Super Saiyan 3 is a pretty badass moment, I will admit. I think his Super Saiyan 1 transformation sequences are better than the Super Saiyan 3. I'm just saying, like, that's the number one thing I never liked about DBZ, or not that I didn't like, but that kind of bothers me from time to time, is the fact that characters let other characters transform too easily. Like, Majin Buu was a strong, definitive character. He was a major threat. And you had Goku transform into a Super Saiyan 3 that looked like it took 3 hours to do. I mean, like, within that 3 hours, Majin Buu could have just dominated Goku. But they wanted to wait. I mean, like, yes, it's, this series is meant for kids, and kids have, a different kind of attention span in comparison to teenagers and adults or whatever, but I'm just saying it was always kind of weird on transformations and how long they took. I mean, hell, to this day, it's still, at least with Resurrection F transformations, or at least quicker. Like, when you look at the Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan transformation, it's pretty quick. It's just simple. Which I like more. But that being said, let's move off of that and look for some more comments. Let's see, what do we got here? On my Bardock video, time travel in DBZ doesn't work in the way that Bardock is Legendary Super Saiyan, because when someone travels back in time, it creates a different timeline. Hence, when Trunks travels back in time, his actions don't change anything in his timeline. Very true, sir. Time travel in DBZ is wildly different from how we expect it from movies. But then again, time travel doesn't exist, so it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. On my Android 18 versus Wonder Woman video, Android 18, Goku Super Saiyan, Frieza Saga. Frieza 100%, Wonder Woman. Well, actually, you know what? If I'm not mistaken, God, I want to say I've done these comments already. Yeah, I've done these comments already. So, yeah, I actually answered these comments on my last podcast. So, you know what? I'm going to leave it at that. That's going to be my last comment of the day. You know what? This is going to be my last comment of the day. Superman versus Goku. You know what, sir? I'm not doing Superman versus Goku. You want to know why? Because I'm not ready to get a whole bunch of people pissed off at me for saying that Goku beats Superman or Superman beats Goku. I'm not ready for that type of shit. I already got a whole bunch of shit from my Dragon Ball Z Light of Hope review, and that fucking pissed me off to the point that someone actually deleted it, which really freaking pissed me off. So before I do the definitive hate me video, there's going to be a lot of videos in between, sir. So please, everyone who wants me to do a Goku versus Superman video, please remember, I'm waiting on that. I have tons of other requests in between, so it's not like we're not going to get good fights out of this. We're definitely get good fights, but Superman versus Goku is going to be a little ways off. It's going to be my grand finale of this shit. Like, when the day comes when I don't want to do this anymore, which will probably happen soon because I'm a lazy asshole, but when it does come, I'm going to do it. It's going to happen, but you know, we gotta wait and let it happen. I'm just saying, we gotta let it happen gradually. But that being said, that's gonna be my last comment. I accidentally read the last two. I think I did them in my last podcast. So, for those of you who, I guess if you wrote that comment, specifically the YouTubers who wrote them, if you feel that I kind of just half-assed on your comment, listen to my prior podcast, the last one I did, because I'm pretty sure I answered your comments there. But that being said, this is going to be the end of this podcast of me giving you some updates and also, you know, information about Resurrection F and Super, and also talking about movies and other types of shit. So in the comments below, let me know what you personally thought about all things Dragon Ball Z and all things anime. And also, if you have any thoughts for my Who to Win series, please comment below. Also, let me know what you personally think about tag teams. And also, let me know what you personally think about Goku versus Superman. Don't request it because I'm not going to do it. I will do it one day, but not anytime soon. But let me know what you personally think about it. Also on the topic of this podcast, let me know if you want to become a co-host on the podcast. If you want to like be featured on one episode or what have you, or if you just want to come in and like write something for the podcast, like maybe a joke or what have you, or just a little segment or a comment, let me know in the comments below and we'll work something out. But that being said, this is a close to my Super Kaioken podcast. I hope everyone has enjoyed as always. This has been your host, Josh12. Definitely go back to my channel to check out all things awesome. Let me know what you personally think. Subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already. And this has been the Super Kaioken podcast.